This is the Floridaville. Get to know the people behind the Florida names you know. I'm your host, Rosanna Catalano. On this episode, we get to know Shevaun Harris, the Secretary of the Department of Children and Families in Florida, DCF as it is known. We are recording remotely today. I'm in my office in Tallahassee, and Secretary Harris is speaking to us from her office in Tallahassee as well. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So tell us what some of the functions are of the Department of Children and Families.
Sure. So the mission of the department is to work in partnership with local communities to protect the vulnerable, promote strong and economically self-sufficient families, and advance personal and family recovery and resiliency. I'm going to give you a few examples of some of the different programs within the department or different functions. So we operate the Florida Abuse Hotline, where people can call in concerns of abuse, neglect, or abandonment of children and adults. To give context, in July of this year, there were over 20,000 hotline calls made. We also have our Office of Child Welfare, where we contract with community-based care lead agencies throughout the state who provide case management and placement services for kids in the child welfare system. Right now, we have over 22,000 children residing in out-of-home care as of June 2021, and over 9,000 licensed foster homes. Under child welfare, we also help survivors of domestic violence and human trafficking. We also have our Office of Substance Abuse and Mental Health, where we contract with 7 managing entities across the state to provide behavioral health and substance abuse services. And there are a whole host of things that they do under our SAMH office that focus on crisis-oriented services all the way to deeper and residential treatment. In our Office of Economic Self-Sufficiency, we provide assistance to individuals and families in times of need for things like food assistance, Medicaid eligibility, and temporary cash assistance. So as you can see, there's a whole lot that happens here at the department.
An amazing amount of work that you do. Could you give us an estimate of how many children there are in Florida?
In Florida, I don't have that off the top of my head, but under our care, under our child welfare program is over 22,000 who are out of home care, and another about 10,000 who are receiving services with their family, but are under the supervision of the department.
That is a lot and a heavy responsibility, I'm sure.
Yes.
So what are some of the specific responsibilities for you as secretary?
Yeah, that's a great question. So as secretary, it's my responsibility to set the vision and priorities for the department in appointing leaders who can inspire our workforce to move towards the vision. It's my responsibility to ensure the department has a measurable strategic plan. Obviously, I report to the governor. I want to make sure I'm in lockstep with his vision and report to him on high-level issues. We work collaboratively with other state agency heads and partner organizations. And then as you or your viewers may be aware, the First Lady is very dedicated and committed to children and families, particularly serving as a chief advocate for mental health and substance abuse support services. And so we work very closely with the First Lady on those types of initiatives.
You know, for our audience that is unfamiliar with the inner workings of Tallahassee and state government, can you tell them the process of becoming secretary of an executive branch agency like yours?
Sure. So the governor selects who he or she would like to serve in this role. And so first, let me say how humble and honored I am that Governor DeSantis chose me to lead this great agency. Once the governor appoints a candidate, the appointee must be confirmed by the Senate. In my case, I had confirmation appearances in front of 2 different Senate committees. They each voted on whether I could move forward in the process, and then a full vote was taken by the entire Senate body.
Incredible. A very long process, I would assume.
It all happened within the legislative session during 2021. It feels like it's been a whirlwind, but I've been in my role almost 6 months. So it happened for me between March and the end of session.
So I know one of the goals for the Department of Children and Families, DCF, is to ensure that children are safe from abuse, neglect, or abandonment while doing everything to keep families together. And that seems like a very, very heavy responsibility. How do you deal with that pressure?
It is a heavy responsibility, one that I don't take lightly. But the rewards are so worth it, knowing that we're always striving to make a positive impact on the lives of children and families who rely on us and the services that we offer. So I'm a big believer in self-care. I know that if I'm not taking care of myself, I can't do this job effectively or have enough reserves to take care of my family. So I have a number of self-care routines that help me stay healthy, things like knowing when to disconnect, eating healthy. And so when I start to falter on those routines, I know I need to recalibrate and kind of adjust.
Well, let's take a quick commercial break. And when we come back, I'm going to ask you about your goals for DCF and learn about your background.
Awesome.
At Rocket Ship Consultants, our mission is to take your organization to the next level. Our team develops strategic communication plans that help entrepreneurs, corporations, associations, and individuals reach new heights. Our consulting team is made up of attorneys with additional experience in journalism, public relations, politics, broadcasting, and advocacy. Let us help you take that dream you have for a podcast or video show and make it into a reality. We can create networking opportunities, educational forums, and interactive conferences to spread your message. Let our team provide you with fresh ideas and inspiration. Rocket Ship Consultants offers a variety of services, so check out our website at rocketshipconsultants.com. Take off with Rocket Ship Consultants and launch your organization with us. Welcome back. My guest today is government leader Shevaun Harris, who is the Secretary of Florida's Department of Children and Families. Now, you have such an interesting life story. Let's go back to the beginning. Tell me where you were born and raised.
So I was born and raised in New York, Brooklyn to be specific.
And what was your home life like growing up?
So I had a great childhood with two parents who loved me dearly. I have a brother and a sister, both of whom are much older than me. So it was like having two sets of parents. That wasn't always fun. But my parents instilled a strong work ethic and wanted a better life for me. So they enrolled me in Catholic school, and I went to Catholic school from K through 12, which I think grounded me and reinforced the strong values that I learned at home during those, I'll call them unsure teenage years.
I have some teenagers at home, and they are unsure years.
Yes.
So you have several degrees. Tell us about where you went to school and what you studied.
Sure. So I am a Seminole. I moved from up north here to Florida in Tallahassee to attend Florida State University, where I have my bachelor's in psychology. And then when it was time to make a decision about what I was going to do with my life, I decided to pursue a master's in social work right after from FSU as well. Later on, so I started I was in the workforce and had been at Akka for several years, or the Agency for Healthcare Administration for your viewers, and had decided that, I was dealing with a whole lot of contracts, a lot of big businesses that really wanted to understand more the business side. And my minor in undergrad had been in business. So decided to go back and pursue my master's of business administration, and being a working mom, which wanted to do so from an online program. So Quinnipiac University out of Connecticut had an online program that also had a healthcare concentration. So those two really spoke to me. So I went on and pursued my MBA.
Fantastic. So where did you start your career?
So I had several part-time jobs during college, but I would say my first adult real job after college was serving as a case manager for adults diagnosed with AIDS. My job was to help them navigate our healthcare system, ensuring that they remain compliant with their medications and appointments, and helping to link them to the resources and services that they needed to remain as healthy as possible.
What were some of the lessons you learned at that job that have stayed with you to this day?
Yeah, so it was my first real introduction to the Medicaid system. I was a Medicaid waiver case manager, so I would say it served as my springboard into Medicaid and understanding that whole world. I would also say it helped me really understand the challenges that some of our lower income individuals and families face, compounded further when someone has a serious, and at that time, AIDS was a very life-threatening illness. So taught me a whole lot.
Prior to heading to DCF, and you mentioned it earlier, you worked at the Agency for Healthcare Administration, Akka. You even served as interim secretary at that state agency. Can you tell us about some of the roles you had at Akka?
Yeah, sure. So I'm a true testament of working your way up. I started with Akka in 2005 as a contract manager, quickly ascended the leadership ranks to a program administrator like a year and a half later. And then I spent about 4 years in that role. And as a program administrator, I was over several contracts, mainly focused on quality improvement and long-term care services. And then was offered a bureau chief job over Medicaid policy. So in that role, I ended up being responsible for developing all Medicaid policies that govern the way in which individuals receive services through the program, as well as how our providers get paid. And I think I was in that role for about 5 years before becoming an assistant deputy secretary for Medicaid policy and quality. So I was over policy, which I'd been over that for 5 years, and then the Bureau of Quality also. So got to work on a lot of quality improvement initiatives in that role. And then but prior to leaving the agency, as you mentioned, I became acting secretary, which certainly was a highlight in my career path.
Now, I know you had a lot of success at Akka. Can you tell us about some of your accomplishments there?
Sure. So I led the development and maintenance of all policies for Medicaid services, including those focused on children with special health care needs, Medicaid eligibility, long-term care, and behavioral health. Because of my extensive contracts experience, I had the opportunity to lead several major implementations, including serving as the lead negotiator with the procurement of our statewide Medicaid managed care program and implementation of the Canadian drug importation program, which was very novel and innovative. In my role overseeing quality improvement in the Medicaid program, I spearheaded our efforts around improving birth outcomes and reducing avoidable hospital events. And then lastly, like I said, serving as acting secretary, most of my time there was focused on assisting hospitals and nursing facilities through our COVID pandemic. But again, certainly was a highlight to kind of end my tenure at Akka in that particular role.
You've worked in improving the lives of Floridians for years now. So why is that so important to you?
I truly believe that helping people, whether it's directly through public policy or some other avenue, is just hardwired in my DNA. I think I will always gravitate towards jobs that will allow me to impact the lives of those in need.
What advice would you give to helping someone who wants to give back to their community? They're interested in helping.
So philosophically, I would align your service with your passion. When doing so, it won't feel like work. Practically, though, if you're interested in helping families in need, I encourage you to visit myfloridamyfamily.com. It's a website that connects individuals and organizations who want to help those who are in need. Helping can be as little effort as donating items to a family in need, all the way up to learning more on how to become a foster parent or how to adopt. So that's a big range, and there's some place for everyone on that continuum.
Now, you've been at DCF not even a full year now. And I know you just talked about the myfamily.com. Are there any other projects that you've been working on or initiatives?
Yes, and I'm super excited to share a couple with you. So, we really have been working on helping individuals become more economically self-sufficient. When I was going through earlier the different program areas, we have the Office of Economic Self-Sufficiency, and really didn't feel we were living up to the full title of that program area. And so implemented a model, a care coordination model that helps individuals and families identify and overcome barriers to reaching self-sufficiency. So originally it was piloted as a program to serve Florida's public benefit assistance recipients, so those who are on TANF, Medicaid, and receive SNAP benefits. And really what we do is we first is voluntary. So we ask the person if they want to participate, and we set short, medium, and long-term goals for them. And it's all individualized, really identifying where they want to be and helping them get there. And so really proud of the outcomes that we've been able to achieve. Over 80% of the participants who've been working with the care coordinator has overcome at least one of the barriers that they've identified. And our goal is to, if you want to find a better job, then we help you do that. If you want to find a job, we help you with that. If one of the impediments to you doing so is childcare or transportation, then we work to overcome that. And so since we've launched in August of 2020, we've been able to serve over 10,000 individuals. And so we're super proud of that initiative. The other I wanted to share is Florida's Foster Information Center. So this was an initiative spearheaded under the leadership of the First Lady. The center is a statewide resource to answer calls from individuals interested in becoming foster parents. So that's a big leap for an individual or a family to make, to decide that they want to become a foster parent or at least express interest. And we wanted to make sure that they weren't getting lost in the shuffle, or that we were equipping them with all the resources needed to make an informed decision. And so we have what we call foster care parent ambassadors, those who lived it. They've actually been either current or former foster parents who are on the other line to answer as many questions as they may have and guide them through that process. And so since going live with that initiative last year, we've taken over 4,500 calls, and about half of those have resulted in families saying, you know what, I want to proceed in the process.
That's incredible. What do you hope to accomplish in the future at DCF? You've accomplished so much just in the 6 months that you've been there.
Thank you. So I really want us to deepen the impact that we have with families, working farther upstream to intervene so we can avoid deeper end crisis. That means really capitalizing on the responsibility that the department has for many of the state's social safety net programs, ensuring that we are integrating across our enterprise and not working in silos to holistically help families be more self-sufficient. Our families are truly some of the most resilient individuals when you think about the challenges that they encounter each day. So our goal is to help them navigate this complex system, provide the support that they need for as long as critical, but most important, chart a path that really capitalizes on their strengths and allows them to overcome barriers that, left unresolved, could result in deeper end crisis. For example, one of the leading causes of removals in our child welfare system is related to substance use. So if we can work with individuals who are contending with substance use disorders earlier in the process, like women who are pregnant women who are substance using, we can hopefully intervene before removal is necessary. And again, in the case of pregnant women, hopefully we can have a healthier baby born as a result of that early intervention.
Incredible. Well, I wish you well.
Thank you.
So we like to end our show with a little bit of fun by asking all of our guests the same 7 questions. What would people be surprised to know about you?
Okay, so I'm going to give you 2 things because this was really, really, really hard. So I shared this with a work colleague a few days ago. So this is silly, but when I was a kid, I used to be afraid of palm trees, believe it or not.
I'm glad you're on our show with our logo with the palm tree.
Yes. And then a not so silly one, but shows that I'm a kid at heart. I named my dogs after the main characters of Toy Story. So I have 2 dogs and their names are Buzz and Woody.
Oh, those are great. When you have guests in town, where is your favorite place to take them?
So this might make you laugh too. As a mom of 2, generally it's Chick-fil-A. But if we're trying to really impress them, it's Jonah's in Thomasville, Georgia.
Oh, great places, great places.
Yes.
What is the name of a book you recently read that you could not put down, or the name of a show you enjoyed binge watching?
The Crown on Netflix.
Yes, I love that show. Among your close family and friends, what are you best known for?
Being calm.
I can see that. If you have a nickname, who gave it to you?
My husband nicknamed me Chevy Lou.
I love that. If you knew you could not fail, what would you attempt?
Skydiving.
And what are the top 3 things you love about living in Florida?
The beaches, the weather, and that Southern hospitality.
Well, Secretary Harris, thank you so much for joining us today. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you.
Be sure to subscribe to our podcast on all your favorite podcast listening platforms. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Twitter at The Floridaville. Visit our website to see some extras regarding this episode. Our audio editor for this podcast episode is Joy Tootle with Rocket Ship Consultants. Our podcast has a wonderfully loyal audience, so if you have a business, you might consider sponsoring our show. For more information about sponsorships, contact me. My email address is Rosanna, Rosanna, at rocketshipconsultants.com. Thank you for tuning in.